Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. The Buddha. There is a silence deeper than words, older than time, and more powerful than reason. In the heart of this silence lies Zen. Not a doctrine, not a belief, not a concept, but a return to that which you already are once the noise is stripped away. This is not a story of becoming. It is a story of unbecoming, of shedding the lies you told yourself, of unlearning the ego's pride, of releasing the grip on what you thought mattered. There was once a young monk who came to the master in frustration. I have studied every sutra, sat in meditation for hours each day, renounced the pleasures of the world, and yet I feel no peace. Why is my mind still tormented? The master poured tea until it overflowed. The student cried, "Master, it is spilling." The master looked calmly and replied, "Your mind is like this cup, too full to hold anything new. Let go." That is the beginning of all true wisdom, letting go. Not because life asks you to give up everything, but because clinging to what hurts you is the very cause of suffering. What if the peace you seek isn't something to gain, but something revealed when everything false is released? In the modern world, we are taught to accumulate achievements, relationships, opinions, grudges, but Zen teaches subtraction. Where society says do more, Zen whispers be less. Where culture praises knowing, Zen celebrates unknowing. Not ignorance, but the innocence beyond mental clutter. Not passivity, but the fierce courage to surrender. You were not born angry. You were not born afraid. You were not born bitter, jealous, or broken. These are masks placed on you by experience, trauma, and illusion. Zen does not ask you to fight them. It asks you to see them for what they are and let them go. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. The Buddha. There was once a samurai who came to a Zen master. "Teach me about heaven and hell." The master looked at him with disgust. "You are nothing but a brute. I cannot waste wisdom on a fool like you." The samurai, enraged, drew his sword to strike. "Ah," said the master calmly, "that is hell." The warrior paused, stunned, and this, the master continued gently, is heaven. Heaven and hell are not places. They are moments. Moments when you choose to act from ego or from awareness. The gates of suffering are wide open, but so are the gates of liberation. You decide which door to walk through. Look inside. What are you holding on to? A memory you can't forget. A regret you carry like a stone in your heart. A person who left but whose shadow still haunts your peace. What if the story you're repeating in your mind is the very chain that keeps you in suffering? Zen is not about solving the past. It is about realizing that the past is gone, and the only thing keeping it alive is your decision to relive it. The root of suffering is attachment. The Buddha. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means releasing the emotional bondage. It means no longer giving your energy to ghosts. There was a Zen story of two monks crossing a river. A young woman stood helpless on the bank. The older monk lifted her onto his back and carried her across. Hours later, the younger monk burst out, "Brother, our vows forbid touching a woman. How could you carry her?" The elder replied, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" The heaviest burdens are the ones we carry long after they're gone. Modern life gives us 1,000 reasons to hold on to opinions, to trauma, to identity. But Zen gives you one sacred reason to release, because your peace is more important than your pride. Do you want to be right or be free? Do you want to be admired or to be at peace? Do you want to carry your pain forever or leave it on the bank and walk away? These questions are not easy, but they are essential. And in every moment you have the power to choose. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The Buddha. Let go of the need to impress. Let go of the story that says you're unworthy unless you achieve. Let go of the voice that tells you you're behind, too late, not enough. The oak tree does not apologize for being slow to grow. The moon does not compete with the sun. You were not born to chase, you were born to be. You are not your name, you are not your job, you are not your history. These are clothes you wear, not the spirit underneath. Strip them away and what remains? Silence, stillness, truth. The truth is not something you find, it's something that remains when illusion is gone. In the coming pages, we will walk through more Zen stories. Some will confuse you, some will sting, but all of them are mirrors showing you not who you should be, but who you already are beneath the noise. Let this not be just another thing you read. Let it be a path back to yourself. And that path begins not with knowing more, but with letting go. When you let go of what you are, you become what you might be. Lao Tzu, the problem is not that life hurts. The problem is that we resist the hurt, fear it, and carry it long after the wound has healed. Pain is real, but suffering is often a choice, a consequence of attachment. Zen is not here to fix your life. It's here to show you there is nothing broken, there is only clinging. The leaf does not cling to the branch when the wind calls it to fall. It lets go because letting go is not death. It is transition. You too are being called not to escape the world, but to wake up from it. What if letting go is not the end of something, but the beginning of everything? There was an old man who lost his horse. His neighbors cried, "What bad luck!" He shrugged, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild stallions. His neighbors cheered, "What good luck!" Again he replied, "Maybe." His son broke his leg while taming one of the wild horses. "Terrible luck," they moaned. Maybe, the old man said again. Soon after, war broke out, and all the village's young men were drafted except his son, whose injury spared him. The villagers wept. The old man remained still. Zen is this: do not cling to what you think you know. Joy and sorrow are 2 masks of the same face. To let go is to trust that you do not need to control everything in order to be at peace. Control is an illusion. Peace is the truth beneath the illusion. Your mind clings because it fears. It believes, if I let go, I'll be vulnerable. If I let go, I'll be nothing. But the opposite is true. When you release what is false, you become whole. When you let go of the illusion of control, you discover the calm that was waiting beneath your panic all along. When you release your grip on the shore, the river carries you effortlessly. It is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. The Buddha. There is a story of a monk who carried a begging bowl, his only possession. One day the wind knocked it over and cracked it. He stared at it for a moment, then smiled and walked on. Another monk, confused, asked, "Why aren't you sad?" He replied, "Because the bowl was never mine. I was only borrowing it from the present moment." This is the heart of Zen. Everything is borrowed. Your body, your wealth, your loved ones, even your breath. What causes pain is not loss, but the illusion of possession. You never owned it. You only held it for a while, and now it is returning to where it came from. Freedom begins when you stop saying, "This is mine," and start whispering, "Thank you for a little while." The reason we suffer is because we keep grabbing at clouds, grabbing at people who've already left, grabbing at moments that no longer exist, grabbing at identities that were never truly ours. What happens if you unclench your fists? What do you feel when you stop grasping? You feel the breeze. You feel the present. You feel alive. In the end, only 3 things matter: how well you lived, how gently you loved, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Buddhist teaching. In one Zen monastery, a novice spilled ink on a sacred scroll. Terrified of punishment, he tried to hide it. The master walked in, looked at the mistake, and said nothing. Instead, he dipped his brush in the ink and painted a dragon around the stain, transforming the flaw into art. The student wept. What you call a mistake, life may be using as brushstroke. Let go of the shame. Let go of the fear of imperfection. Let go of the need to appear flawless. You are not here to impress. You are here to awaken. Letting go is not weakness. It is mastery. It is to look at the storm inside and say, "You may shake me, but you do not define me." We walk around with stories in our head. He hurt me, she betrayed me, I failed, I'm not enough. But none of these are facts. They are interpretations, conditioned responses, echoes of wounds not yet forgiven. What if you could pause the story? What if, just for a moment, you could see your thoughts as clouds passing by, not personal, not permanent? You are not your anger. You are not your doubt. You are not even your past. You are the sky, and the sky is never harmed by the clouds. If you want peace, let go of your story. Keep the lesson. Release the label. There's a reason Buddhist monks shave their heads and wear simple robes. It's not about appearance. It's about release, removing attachment to vanity, fashion, ego, identity. But you don't need to become a monk to live in peace. You only need to notice where you are still clinging to expectations, to status, to control, and every day choose to loosen the grip just a little more. That's how it begins. Not in grand awakenings, but in small surrenders. The tightest prisons are built from the walls we refuse to let go of. Letting go is not the opposite of love. It is the purest form of love, because it says, "I will not hold you hostage in my heart just to feel whole." It is an act of trust in yourself, in life, in the flow of what is. So ask yourself now, what am I still holding that no longer serves me? What weight have I carried for so long? I've forgotten what it's like to walk free. Let today be the day you begin to place it down, gently, without drama, without resistance, like a leaf falling in autumn. Let go and begin again. The moment you realize how much you've been trying to control is the moment life begins to teach you how to surrender. There is a subtle pain we never name, the ache of control. It appears as ambition, as perfectionism, as anxiety. But underneath it is always fear, fear of change, fear of loss, fear of being seen as not enough. So we grip tighter. To control everything is to trust nothing. Zen shows us a different way. Let it fall, let it break, let it go, then see what remains. That's where the real you begins. There was a Zen master who never wrote down his teachings. His disciples asked, "Why do you not record your wisdom?" He replied, "Because the truth lives in silence. Once I put it into words, it becomes a lie people cling to instead of a life they live." The mind wants to understand, name, label, preserve. But Zen is not meant to be understood. It's meant to be experienced. And experience only happens when the mind gets out of the way. Letting go doesn't mean you lose everything. It means you lose what never belonged to you in the first place. You cannot hold the wind. You cannot freeze time. You cannot trap love. But you can be present for all of it. So much of our misery comes not from what happens, but from how tightly we try to freeze it in place. We want people to stay the same. We want the perfect moment to last forever. We want success to be permanent. But everything is always changing. Everything. To let go is not to give up. It's to step into the rhythm of impermanence with grace. All compounded things are subject to decay. Strive on with diligence. The Buddha's last words. There is a monk who sat beneath a waterfall every morning. When asked why, he said, "Because even the strongest current cannot disturb a mind that has surrendered to it." What are you resisting right now? Is it the end of something? A truth you don't want to accept? A silence you fear facing? What if instead of resisting you allowed it? Not agreed with it, not enjoyed it, just allowed it. There is a deep peace that arises the moment you stop fighting what is. Not passive, not weak. A strength deeper than force, the strength of radical acceptance. Sometimes you don't need to fight harder. You need to surrender deeper. In Zen, there is a saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." It means nothing changes except everything. When you let go of seeking, you discover presence. When you let go of outcome, you awaken to process. When you let go of needing more, you discover enough. How much energy have you spent chasing? Chasing praise, chasing validation, chasing a future version of yourself that's always just out of reach. Zen says stop running, sit still. What you are chasing is already inside you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply buried under expectations, fear, and noise. The work is not to become someone new. The work is to peel back the layers and return. Return to breath. Return to presence. Return to being. You don't have to understand everything to let go. You just have to stop holding what is hurting you. There's a Zen tale of a student who asked his master, "What happens after we die?" The master replied, "I don't know." "But you're a Zen master." "Yes," he said, "but I'm not a dead one." This is Zen. Let go of needing to know. Let go of needing certainty, control, answers. Be present with what is. Truth lives not in the future, it lives now. And now is always asking one question: can you be here fully? Not with your thoughts, not with your plans, but with your breath, your body, your being. Can you? Your freedom begins the moment you no longer need to be certain. In your quietest moments, you already know what needs to be released. You feel the weight. You hear the tension in your thoughts. You sense the resistance in your chest. So why don't you let go? Because it's familiar. Because pain has become a home. Because identity has been built on wounds. But no matter how long you've carried something, it is never too late to set it down. You are not obligated to suffer just because it's what you've always known. You can choose peace. You can choose again. You can let go. The longer you carry what isn't yours, the further you drift from who you truly are. So now gently ask yourself, who would I be without this anger? Who would I be without this fear? Who would I be without this story? Breathe. Imagine your body unclenching. Imagine your heart softening. Imagine your soul opening its fists. It's all right to feel sadness. It's all right to feel lost. But it's not all right to forget you have the power to begin again right now. And it starts with a whisper: I release you. I release me. I let go. As the lotus rises from the mud without stain, so too can the mind rise from suffering without clinging. Buddhist teaching: you are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the mistakes you've made, nor the mistakes others have made against you. But the more you cling to those stories, the more they shape your identity. Zen does not heal by addition. It heals by subtraction. Remove the noise and peace remains. Remove the story and truth shines through. Remove the fear and love steps forward. You don't need to become someone new. You need to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Every moment is a choice to carry or to release, to grip or to let flow, to build more walls or to open the window and let the breeze in. A traveler once approached a Zen master. "I seek liberation," he said. The master handed him a heavy stone and told him to carry it. They walked in silence for hours. Eventually the traveler cried out, "This is too heavy." The master nodded. "Then why don't you put it down?" The man dropped the rock, breathing in relief. The master smiled. "There you are, liberated. You don't need permission to be free. You only need the courage to let go." There is nothing spiritual about carrying what has already ended. We often confuse attachment with loyalty. We hold on to toxic relationships, jobs that crush our spirit, beliefs that no longer serve us, all in the name of commitment. But Zen asks, committed to what? To truth or to illusion? To peace or to drama? To growth or to a version of yourself that stopped evolving years ago? Letting go is not betrayal. Letting go is honesty. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and others is to walk away. Not in anger, not in blame, but in clarity. You are allowed to outgrow what once felt safe. There's a story of a young monk who planted a sapling in the temple garden. Every day he watered it obsessively, even when the rain came. He pulled out nearby grass, fearing it would steal nutrients. He covered it from the sun, worried it would burn. Despite all his efforts, the tree withered. The master said, "You did not help the tree grow. You smothered it with fear disguised as care." Sometimes what we call love is actually control, and what we call safety is actually fear. To truly love is to give space. To truly trust is to let life unfold without constant interference. Real peace begins where control ends. Many people fear letting go because they confuse it with losing everything. But Zen shows us letting go is not subtraction. It is space. It is not loss. It is clearing. It is not the end. It is return. When a cup is full, nothing new can enter. When your heart is heavy, joy cannot breathe. Let go not to be empty, but to be open. You only lose what you cling to. The Buddha. What are you clinging to out of fear? The image of perfection, the illusion of certainty, the idea that life must always go as planned. Let go not because it's easy. Let go because holding on is harder. Every breath is a reminder you are allowed to release. Inhale presence, exhale tension. Inhale possibility, exhale the past. Each breath is a letting go. Each breath is a chance to return. Peace doesn't come when everything is under control. Peace comes when you no longer need everything to be under control. There is an old Zen tale of a man being chased by a tiger. He runs and falls off a cliff clinging to a vine. Above him, the tiger, below jagged rocks. Then he sees a strawberry growing beside the vine. He picks it, eats it, and smiles. In the face of fear, he chose presence. He did not deny death, he simply refused to miss the moment. That is Zen. Not escape, not denial, but full presence in the now. The question is not, will life hurt? The question is, will you live it fully anyway? The pain may visit, but it does not have to stay. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means refusing to be ruled by it. It means rewriting your relationship with the past, not as a chain, but as a teacher. Ask yourself now, what did this pain teach me? What door did this ending open? What part of myself was uncovered when everything else fell apart? You are not what broke you. You are what rose from it. And what rises is not bitterness. It is awareness. And from awareness, liberation. You can keep dragging the weight of your old life, or you can place it down and walk lighter toward the unknown. The final truth is this: everything changes, everything ends, everyone goes. But the one thing that stays is your ability to respond with grace. And in that grace is freedom. So walk lightly, speak softly, hold nothing too tightly. Let the wind pass through you, and in that space you will meet yourself again. Whole, unburdened, awake. When the heart is light, the world becomes soft. When the mind is still, truth becomes clear. You don't need a new path. You need a new way of walking. The Zen way is not about going farther. It is about going deeper, into stillness, into presence, into the quiet truth that was always beneath the surface of your struggles. Letting go is not some grand, dramatic moment. It often begins quietly, with a sigh, with a breath, with the decision to stop resisting what is. Sometimes the most powerful act is simply choosing not to carry something another day. There's a well-known Zen parable. A man builds a raft to cross a river. It saves him. When he reaches the other side, he continues to carry the raft on his back through the forest, over the mountains, across the plains. Eventually, it breaks him. The Buddha told this story and then said, the raft was useful for crossing, but once crossed, it must be left behind. Your coping mechanisms were once useful. Your defenses, your overthinking, your people-pleasing all served you in times of fear. But are they still serving you now, or are they sinking you? Letting go is not rejection. It is evolution. You thank what helped you, then you set it down. Not everything you carry is meant to follow you into your next chapter. You were not born clinging. You learned it from loss, from fear, from the illusion of separation. But the beautiful truth is this: if clinging is learned, it can be unlearned. And the moment you begin to release, truly release, you realize how little was ever truly yours to hold. Not people, not outcomes, not identities. All of it is borrowed, and all of it is temporary. So live not as an owner, but as a guest. A sacred guest in a fleeting moment called life. This existence of ours is as transient as autumn clouds. To watch the birth and death of beings is like looking at the movements of a dance. The Buddha. In a Zen monastery, a master sat with a bowl. Every morning a monk would fill it with food. One day the monk arrived to find the master holding a broken bowl, its pieces scattered. The master smiled and said, "Now that it is broken, it cannot be used to hold anything, but it can finally reflect the sky." We fear breaking, but sometimes breaking is the beginning of reflecting something higher. You are not less because of your wounds. You are more if you stop hiding them. Letting go also means letting go of the idea that you must be whole to be worthy. The cracks are not weakness. They are the places where truth enters. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present. We keep waiting for the world to give us permission to rest, to stop, to feel joy, to walk away. But Zen teaches the permission you seek is already yours. Nobody will ever arrive to free you, because the door was never locked. You've been holding the key all along. And the key is not strength, it is surrender. The moment you stop asking for freedom is the moment you realize it was always within you. Letting go is not a one-time event, it is a practice. Each time you forgive, you let go. Each time you breathe through pain, you let go. Each time you allow life to be what it is instead of what you wanted it to be, you let go. Letting go does not make you passive, it makes you powerful. Because only those who are not ruled by their attachments can truly act from clarity. When you no longer need to protect the ego, you speak with honesty. When you no longer fear loss, you love with freedom. When you no longer cling to control, you walk with peace. Freedom is not in gaining more, it is in needing less. A student once asked his Zen teacher, "How do I achieve peace?" The teacher said nothing. Instead, he poured water into a glass, filled it to the brim, then kept pouring. Water spilled everywhere. The student laughed. "It's overflowing." The teacher nodded. Your mind is like this. Pouring more into it only brings chaos. Empty it. Then peace enters. Letting go means making space, not just in your schedule, but in your spirit. You cannot hold clarity while also gripping fear. You cannot feel love while also clinging to resentment. You cannot be here fully if you're still trying to rewrite what's already past. Peace begins the moment you stop editing reality and start meeting it. So where are you still resisting? What feeling have you numbed? What memory have you kept in the dark? What weight have you said it's fine to even as it suffocates you? Zen asks you not to judge, only to see clearly without distortion, without story. Because to see clearly is the beginning of liberation. It is to say, yes, I am hurt, and I release the need to stay hurt. Yes, they left, and I release the need to chase what is gone. Yes, I failed, and I release the need to wear it as identity. In every moment, you are free to choose again, and again, and again, until letting go is no longer an action but your way of being. The more you let go, the more you return to breath, to presence, to peace. And in that return, you will finally meet yourself, not the self you tried to build, but the one that always quietly waited beneath the noise. Silent, soft, free. Whatever has a beginning has an end. Make your peace with that, and you will be free. Buddhist teaching. There's a peculiar kind of suffering that comes from success. Not the suffering of failure, but the fear of losing what you've built. The anxiety of clinging to a good moment, hoping it stays forever. Even joy, when gripped too tightly, becomes pain. Zen whispers, do not chase permanence in a world made of waves. Everything rises, everything falls. Let it. That is the nature of life and its deepest beauty. You will suffer if you try to preserve a moment that is meant to pass. There is a story of a wealthy man who came to a Zen master. "Teach me how to live without fear," he said. The master served him tea. As he lifted the cup, he smashed it on the ground. The man gasped, "Why did you do that?" The master replied, "Because you were already afraid of losing it the moment you held it. We suffer not because we lose, but because we feared losing before it even happened." Attachment does not only bring sorrow. When things are gone, it brings sorrow even while They stay because we dread their end. The antidote is not to hold tighter. It is to hold lighter. Love without clinging. Enjoy without grasping. Appreciate without controlling. Only then does life stop being a threat and start being a gift. The more lightly you hold something, the more fully you can feel it. We often confuse strength with resistance. We think we must grit our teeth, tough it out, carry the pain longer than anyone else. But Zen teaches another kind of strength, the strength to soften, the courage to release, the discipline to surrender. It takes no strength to fight what is. It takes enormous strength to accept it. This moment is not asking you to win. It is asking you to be here without judgment, without defense. Just presence, just breath, just you. You cannot outthink your pain. You can only sit with it and listen. There was once a monk who sat in silence day after day. One morning a storm swept through the valley and destroyed the outer shrine. The other monks panicked, but the master walked slowly into the wreckage, bowed, and whispered, "Even this is a teaching." Everything is a teacher when you stop labeling it as enemy or ally. Pain teaches, loss teaches, silence teaches, but only when we stop resisting. Even destruction, even endings can reveal the truth we were too distracted to see. Letting go means accepting the possibility that this too belongs. Even the ache, even the loss, even the breaking, it all has a place in the temple of awakening. What if nothing in your life has been wasted? Your past was not perfect, but maybe it was perfectly designed to wake you up. Every disappointment cracked your illusions. Every heartbreak peeled off a layer of pride. Every silence taught you to listen inward. Zen does not ask you to love your pain. It asks you to stop being afraid of it. Because once you stop fearing pain, you stop clinging to escape. And in that freedom, the real healing begins. Letting go is not an act of erasure. It is an act of integration. A disciple once asked the master, "How do I let go of the past?" The master led him to a well and asked him to shout his name into the echo. Now the master said, "Try to make the echo disappear." The student shouted again and again and again. The echo returned every time. Finally exhausted, he sat in silence. The master smiled. That is how it stops. Not by force, but by no longer feeding it. You don't release the past by erasing it. You release it by no longer reacting to it, by not shouting back, by not carrying the same hurt into every new day, by choosing peace even when your history offers pain. That's how echoes fade. That's how stillness returns. Peace is not the absence of memory. It's the absence of resistance to it. We are all walking around with old griefs hidden beneath our smiles, stories we never told, pain we never released, forgiveness we never offered to others or to ourselves. But no one can free you from what you're unwilling to face. The past does not need your attention. It needs your release. Forgiveness is not approval. It is freedom. Forgive them not because they deserve it. Forgive them because you deserve your peace back. And forgive yourself because guilt is not growth. Because shame is not discipline. Because the self that made those choices was trying to survive. You can keep punishing your past self, or you can meet them with compassion and finally let them go. You are not who you were in that moment. You are who is watching it now with open eyes and a softer heart. Letting go means walking forward even when the story behind you still calls your name. Letting go means choosing not to answer, not because you hate your past, but because you've learned from it. And now you are done carrying it as armor. Now you walk differently. Not heavier, but lighter. Not harder, but softer. Not afraid, but free. Because the moment you stop gripping what was, is the moment you finally open your hands to what could be. The trouble is, you think you have time. The Buddha, we live as if we're promised tomorrow. We delay peace. We postpone forgiveness. We put off stillness for someday, a someday that may never arrive. Zen pulls you back into the truth. This is it, this breath, this moment, this chance. Letting go is urgent, not because you're running out of things to hold, but because you're running out of time to live fully. You will never be more ready to release than you are now. There's a Zen teaching that goes, if not now, when? We carry the illusion that healing is a future event, that we need to read one more book, take one more course, get one more apology. But the truth is, healing doesn't wait for ideal circumstances. It begins the moment you decide to stop waiting. Letting go is not something that happens to you. It's something you choose even before it feels complete. Even if the pain still whispers, even if your hands still tremble, you choose to release. And in the release, your hands begin to remember lightness again. Clarity does not always come before release. Sometimes it comes through it. There's a story of a man who carried a sack of sand across a desert. Every day he added more to it, little bits he believed were valuable. But the farther he walked, the heavier it became. Eventually he collapsed from exhaustion. A traveler passing by looked inside the sack. It was filled with useless stones. The man gasped, "Why did I carry this so far?" The traveler replied, "Because you believed that holding more would make you more." Letting go also means letting go of false value of what you were taught to treasure that never truly fed your spirit. Titles, possessions, status, opinions of people who never really saw you. Ask yourself, what am I still carrying because I was told it mattered, not because I feel that it does? You don't have to carry the world's expectations on your back. You were not born for burden. You were born for liberation. You are not here to impress. You are here to awaken. So much of what you hold on to is fear disguised as duty. You fear saying no, so you overextend. You fear disappointing others, so you betray yourself. You fear change, so you stay stuck in chapters long after they've ended. But Zen shows us that fear cannot survive where presence grows. The more you breathe into the now, the more the illusions of fear dissolve. Because fear lives in the mind, but peace lives in the body. Return to breath, return to body, return to this, and see how quickly your fear fades, like mist in the morning sun. Letting go is not a loss, it is a return to what's real. There's a saying among monks, you must die before you die. It means this: let the false self die, the ego, the masks, the roles, so that you can awaken before your final breath. Because that's the tragedy of clinging, it distracts you from what is sacred. We chase success and forget silence. We chase control and forget joy. We chase certainty and forget wonder. But death is not impressed by what you've accumulated. It only asks, were you awake while you were here? Letting go is practice for that final surrender, the moment when everything falls away. And if you've lived with lightness, you won't fear it. You'll welcome it like an old friend. Each small surrender is a rehearsal for your greatest liberation. There is a story of a dying monk. His disciples gather weeping. He opens his eyes and whispers, "Why are you sad?" "You are leaving us, Master." "No," he smiles. "I'm returning." Returning where? He simply points to the silence, then closes his eyes. That's the destination Zen prepares you for. Not heaven, not paradise, but now. The pure stillness of this moment when everything that does not matter has finally fallen away. Let go not for some future peace. Let go to meet the one who has always been waiting within you, silent, still, free. Sometimes what breaks you open is what sets you free. So here is the invitation. Lay down your guilt. Lay down your fear. Lay down your need to be understood by those who never even listened. Lay down the identity you built from wounds and stand up soft, real, unburdened. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be strong. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your peace is worth more than your pride. Your freedom is worth more than your image. Your soul is worth more than the story you've been repeating in your mind. Let it all fall away. Let go. And for the first time in a long time, just be. To let go does not mean to get rid of. To let go means to let be. When we let be, compassion arises for everything. Jack Cornfield. Letting go is not abandonment. It is not indifference. It is not cutting yourself off from the world. Letting go is the opposite. It is returning so deeply to the present that you no longer need to rearrange it to feel safe. It is the courage to stop fixing, controlling, managing, correcting, and to simply witness what is. You become the space through which life flows, not the force that tries to redirect it. You are not the sculptor. You are the open hands through which the stone becomes itself. There's a Zen story of a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbors said, "What bad luck." He replied, "Maybe." Days later, the horse returned, bringing 3 wild horses. "What great luck," the neighbors cheered. He said again, "Maybe." His son broke his leg taming one of the horses. "Such misfortune," they said. "Maybe." Soon after war broke out, all able-bodied young men were conscripted except the farmer's son. "Such fortune," they said. Again, only one word, "maybe." Zen invites us to meet life without labels, without rushing to judge, without clinging to one side of the story. Because the moment you label something good or bad, you trap yourself in reaction. But when you let go of needing life to mean something fixed, it becomes free to surprise you. You stop chasing conclusions. You start watching with wonder. Peace enters when meaning no longer needs to be controlled. How much suffering comes not from what happened, but from the story you told about it. The betrayal wasn't just pain, it became identity. The failure wasn't just a lesson, it became shame. The silence wasn't just space, it became rejection. But Zen asks, what happens when you stop adding story? What happens when the experience is simply allowed to be what it was, not more, not less? Letting go is the unraveling of the fiction that kept your pain alive. It is not forgetting, it is seeing without distortion. You cannot be free while still editing reality to match your expectations. There was once a Zen master who held a cup in his hand. "When is this cup broken?" he asked his students. One said, "When it falls and shatters." Another said, "When it cracks." The master smiled, "It is already broken. I enjoy it now, knowing it will not last." This is the root of freedom, knowing that everything will end and choosing to love it anyway. Not because it stays, but because it won't. That's why it's precious. To truly love is to know it will end and still give your heart without hesitation. We avoid surrender because we confuse it with defeat. But true surrender is strength. It means you trust life so deeply you no longer need it to obey you. You are no longer fighting the current. You are no longer begging the river to change direction. You are finally floating and discovering that the water knows the way. Surrender is not passive. It is deeply active, the active choice to stop struggling. It is the most honest action of the soul. I am here. I am enough. I am letting go. You don't need to win the war. You only need to stop fighting yourself. There is a stillness that arises only when you give up the chase. The chase to be understood. The chase to be healed faster. The chase to make every piece of your life look beautiful. Zen brings you back to something simpler, more honest. Is this moment enough? Can I breathe here? Letting go is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is a single moment when you stop chasing and start listening. When the bird sings outside your window and for once you don't rush past it. When the tea cools in your hand and instead of reheating it, you sip it slowly. When the ache in your chest no longer means something is wrong, only that you are human. Nothing is missing, only your presence. So many of us live half here and half somewhere else, half in the past fixing it, half in the future controlling it, half in comparison, half in regret, half in anticipation. But Zen gives you one invitation. Come home. Home to breath, home to body, home to this moment unfiltered, unfixed, unfinished, and completely alive. You don't need to change your life. You need to arrive inside of it. And to arrive, you must first release everything that pulls you away. The moment you release the need to escape, you arrive. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you care with open hands, not with grasping fists. It means you give without agenda. You love without ownership. You walk without dragging yesterday behind you. You become a witness to the miracle of now, and that miracle is enough. Right now, you can breathe deeper. Right now, you can soften your shoulders. Right now, you can stop replaying the old scene. Right now, you can stop trying to prove your worth, because your worth is not waiting in the next moment. It is right here, right now, in your willingness to let go. Be like a hollow bamboo, open, empty, and ready to let the wind of life pass through you. Zen teaching. When the mind is too full, the soul cannot breathe. We fill it with worry, resentment, opinions, endless analysis. We carry conversations that never happened, prepare defenses for battles that never come, and rehearse regrets like mantras. Zen does not tell you to think less. It shows you how to carry less. Because in the end, peace is not about gaining more. It's about releasing what you never needed, and often what you didn't even know you were carrying. There is a freedom that begins the moment you say, I no longer need this story to be true. There's a Zen tale of a monk who carried a mirror everywhere. He polished it constantly, checking it every few minutes. One day, the master asked, What are you looking for in that mirror? My true self, said the monk. The master gently replied, Then set the mirror down. You'll see more clearly without it. We spend our lives polishing mirrors, status, self-image, reputation, hoping to find clarity. But clarity is not in the mirror. It's in the stillness behind it. You don't discover your true self by building more. You discover it by subtracting what you are not. You are not your name. You are not your wounds. You are not even your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees them all and chooses to let them pass. Letting go doesn't always mean leaving something behind. Sometimes it means no longer holding it so tightly. You can still love. You can still care. You can still remember. But you don't have to carry it like armor. The past does not have to define the texture of your breath today. Letting go is not about erasing. It's about softening. It's about loosening your grip so you can feel again. Tight fists can't hold peace. Only open hands can. There was a young man who came to a Zen master seeking enlightenment. The master handed him a stone and said, Carry this for a week. Never set it down. The man obeyed. By the third day, his arms ached. By the fifth, his body trembled. On the seventh day, he collapsed in front of the master and cried, This burden is too heavy. The master smiled. Then why are you still holding it? Letting go is sometimes that simple. The pain may not be yours anymore, but the decision to hold it still is. Ask yourself, am I suffering or am I holding suffering? Pain will visit, but suffering only stays by invitation. The storm comes, yes, but are you locking it in your house? You are allowed to feel, but you are also allowed to release. The emotion does not make you weak. It makes you human. What makes you suffer is believing it must stay forever. Nothing stays forever. Not love, not sorrow, not even you. So why grip so tightly? Even your identity is temporary. Why not hold it lightly? There is a deeper kind of surrender that happens when you stop needing to be someone. The wise do not walk the earth demanding validation. They walk with bare feet, not needing to prove a thing because they no longer carry the weight of becoming. They've remembered what you too are slowly remembering. You were always enough. The journey is not about adding to yourself. It is about returning to yourself. And the path back is carved by release. Not by chasing, not by fixing, but by unbecoming. You don't have to know who you are to begin. You only have to know who you are not and be willing to let it go. Sometimes you think the weight is external, but the heaviest thing you carry is the belief that you are not already home. You run in circles trying to get there while standing in the middle of it. Every answer you've ever chased is already inside the question, can I be here without needing more? Zen whispers, yes, you can, but only if you're willing to release what says you can't. Stillness is not something you reach. It is what remains when chasing ends. So here is your invitation, not loud, not urgent, but deeply sacred. Let today be the day you stop running. Let today be the day you stop fixing yourself long enough to notice there's nothing broken. Let today be the day you sit, just sit and notice. Your heart still beats. Your breath still flows. Your presence still shines through the noise. even if you forgot, even if you strayed. You are not lost. You are not late. You are simply one breath away from home. And to return, you don't need to climb. You don't need to understand. You don't need to do. You only need to let go. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Lao Tzu, what you are clinging to may have once saved you. But what saved you yesterday might be what's suffocating you today. The shell protects the turtle until it outgrows it. Then the shell becomes a prison. So many of us are carrying stories, habits, identities that were built in moments of fear or survival, and we wear them like armor long after the war has ended. Zen does not ask, what do you need to fix? It asks, what are you still wearing that no longer fits? And more importantly, are you willing to take it off? The armor that once protected you may now be what keeps you from healing. There is a story of the man who clung tightly to a rope dangling from the edge of a cliff. He screamed for help. A voice replied from above, "Let go." He froze, "But I'll fall." Silence. The next morning, rescuers found him, hanging just 1 foot above the ground. Sometimes we cling out of fear when surrender would have set us free. You are not as far from peace as you think. Sometimes it's just one release away. Fear says, hold on tighter. Wisdom whispers, maybe it's time to let go. We often believe we'll lose ourselves if we release what we're used to. But what if the self you're protecting is not your true self? What if the sadness you won't release is blocking your capacity for joy? What if the identity you keep reinforcing is blinding you to who you're becoming? Letting go is not erasing yourself. It is making space to meet yourself anew, to say, I am allowed to be more than what I've been. I am allowed to change. I am allowed to be soft. I am allowed to begin again. You are not who you were, and that's not failure, that's freedom. Zen is the art of noticing, of witnessing thoughts without following them, of watching feelings arise and pass without drowning in them, of realizing that everything, every reaction, every attachment, every craving is just a ripple on the surface. Underneath, stillness, unmoved, unbroken, unshaken. You are that stillness. You are not the thought that tells you you're behind. You are not the feeling that says you're not enough. You are not the past echoing through your chest. You are the one watching. And the more you watch, the more you remember. You've never needed to hold on so tightly. Everything passes. Everything returns. And peace comes not from control, but from trust. The deeper your trust, the lighter your grip. A monk once asked his teacher, how do I stop my mind from spinning? The teacher handed him a bowl of water. Now he said, run with it until the water is still. The monk ran and ran, spilling water everywhere. Finally exhausted, he stopped. Only then did the water calm. The teacher smiled. The mind becomes still when you stop trying to outrun it. Letting go is not about force, it is about stillness. It is about stepping out of the cycle of trying, proving, performing, and simply resting in what is. And what is this breath, this moment, this life, unfolding, perfect, enough. Stillness is not the absence of life, it is life in its purest form. Letting go is also letting others go. Letting go of needing to be understood by them. Letting go of needing closure from them. Letting go of needing them to admit they hurt you. Because the truth is, you do not need their apology to heal. You only need your own permission to stop reopening the wound, to stop looking back for answers, to stop waiting, and to say, I free you, not because you asked, but because I'm done carrying this pain. And in that release, you are free, not just from them, but from the version of you that held on to them, the version that needed permission. That version can rest now. That version can go home. To let go is not to cut off love. It is to make room for real love to grow. There is love that controls. There is love that clings. There is love that manipulates, that demands, that suffocates. And then there is love that lets go. It holds with open hands. It does not possess. It does not beg. It does not make its worth dependent on being needed. It simply says, I am here, and I trust that if you are meant to stay, you will. Zen teaches this form of love. Because real love is not about getting, it is about being. Being present, being honest, being peaceful whether they stay or go. That is the kind of love that never leaves you, because it comes from within you. And once you find it, you'll wonder why you clung to anything less. You are ready to let go. You always were. So breathe. Let your shoulders drop. Let your heart soften. Let your soul unclench. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not broken. You are only carrying too much. And now it's time. Let it fall. Let it fade. Let it pass. You don't need to grip this any longer. You don't need to figure it all out. You only need to take the next breath and let go. If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will know complete freedom. Ajahn Chah. We think letting go happens once, a single decision, a dramatic moment of release. But the truth is, letting go is a way of living. It's not just something you do when the pain becomes unbearable. It's something you practice every moment you're tempted to resist life as it is. Letting go is not an event. It's an attitude, a posture of openness, a discipline of surrender. And it begins with awareness. You can't release what you're not willing to see. We carry so many invisible weights, unspoken expectations, unprocessed emotions, unquestioned beliefs. And we wonder why peace is elusive, why joy feels like a guest that never stays. But peace doesn't disappear. It's simply buried under all the things we refuse to set down. What if instead of seeking peace, you started clearing the path to it? What if peace was already here, waiting beneath everything you've been holding? Letting go is not a path to peace. Letting go is peace. There's a Zen story about a monk who swept the same temple steps every morning. When asked why he cleaned the same spot over and over, he replied, "Because dust will always return, and so will I." That is the essence of letting go. It is not a final act, but a daily one. Anger will return, so will fear and judgment and grasping. But so can you. You can return to breath, to stillness, to presence every single time. No matter how messy it gets, no matter how heavy the day feels, you can begin again with one exhale. That is the quiet power of this practice. The moment you stop holding the story is the moment the story stops holding you. So much of our inner noise comes from resistance. We resist what was, we resist what is, we resist what might be, and in that resistance we suffer. Zen does not say life will be easy, but it teaches suffering is optional, not because you become numb, but because you become aware. Aware that pain and joy come and go. Aware that thoughts are clouds, not truths. Aware that nothing needs to be clung to, not even peace itself. Letting go is not escape. It is engagement on life's terms, not the ego's. Surrender is not giving up. It is giving into the flow of what already is. There was a master who told his students, "If you want peace, plant flowers where you once buried anger." One student asked, "What if the anger grows back?" The master replied, "Then water the flowers again." Healing is not linear. Peace is not permanent. But the willingness to return, to come back again and again with gentleness, that is what transforms you. That is what creates freedom, not in moments, but in your very way of being. Peace is not the absence of pain. It is the presence of compassion in the face of it. Sometimes the hardest thing to let go of is the belief that you're not ready. We wait to feel strong. We wait to feel healed. We wait to feel worthy. But letting go is not something you do after you become ready. It's the very thing that makes you ready. You don't have to feel fearless to surrender. You only have to feel willing. Willing to soften, willing to open, willing to stop fighting what is. Start there. Start with one breath. Start with one thought you no longer need. Start with one layer of tension you're ready to release. And trust each small release is enough. Even the smallest letting go creates space for grace to enter. There's a story of a woman who visited a Zen monk in tears. "I lost everything," she said. "My home, my marriage, my hope. The monk simply handed her a cracked cup of tea. She looked at it confused. He said, "It still holds warmth. Letting go is not the end of warmth. It is the beginning of seeing it again in new forms, in unexpected places in the cracks. Your brokenness is not the end of your story. It may be the start of your seeing. Seeing the beauty in simplicity, the joy in presence, the peace in impermanence, and when you stop asking life to return what it took, you may finally see what it's been offering instead. What life takes, it replaces with space. And in that space, something new can grow. So if you're still holding on to what could have been, to what they never said, to what you never got, ask yourself gently, has this brought me closer to peace or farther from it? And if it's the latter, then maybe today is the day. Not to forget, not to erase, but to breathe open your hands and whisper to yourself, I no longer need this to be okay. You are allowed to set it down. You are allowed to be free. You are allowed to walk forward lighter, clearer, more yourself than you've ever been. Because the truest path to yourself is through release. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What you think, what you become. The Buddha, the greatest prison is not built with walls or bars. It's built with thought. With stories repeated so often they begin to sound like truth. With beliefs we never question because we've carried them for so long, they've become part of who we think we are. Zen does not shatter the prison. It simply opens the door and says, you may leave whenever you're ready. The only key you need is awareness, and the only requirement is willingness. You are not your thoughts. You are the sky where they pass. There is a story of a monk who spent years meditating in isolation. One day, another monk visited and found him pacing, anxious. What is wrong? The visitor asked. I'm trying to silence my thoughts, the monk replied. The visitor laughed and said, trying to silence thought is like trying to calm water by stomping on it. Peace comes not by force, but by stillness. Letting go begins the moment you stop needing to win against the mind and start watching it like a river. Thoughts arise, thoughts pass, and none of them need to be held. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to believe them. You simply have to stop following them. Like clouds, they come and go. The sky remains unchanged. So do you. Freedom begins when you stop believing every thought deserves your attention. We think peace will come when we figure everything out. But Zen reveals the opposite. Peace comes when we stop needing to figure it all out. You don't need all the answers. You need silence. You need stillness. You need space for the truth to rise on its own, not be dragged into place. The deepest truths don't arrive with force. They arrive when the noise fades, when the doing stops, when the needing ends, when you sit, breathe, and become empty enough for wisdom to enter. When the cup is full, nothing can enter. Empty it, and the whole sky pours in. There was a Zen master who wrote a single word on the wall of his temple, letting go. When asked why, he said, because everything else is just noise. We try to fix. We try to perfect. We try to manage, control, manipulate. But peace is not the result of better control. It is the result of release. And when all else fails, when your strategies fall apart, when your mind spins, return to this one practice. Let go. Let go of trying to be impressive. Let go of needing to be understood. Let go of the thought that says, I can't let go. And in the quiet after that surrender, you will feel it. A lightness, a space, a new beginning. And in that space, life breathes again. When you hold nothing, everything becomes possible. So much of our pain is tied to what we think should be. I should be farther by now. They should have treated me better. This shouldn't have happened. But should is the language of suffering. It fights with reality. It tries to rearrange the past. It feeds the illusion that peace lies in rewriting what cannot be rewritten. Zen does not fight the past. It bows to it and steps forward. Letting go is the final acceptance. This happened. This is here, and I am still free. You don't have to change the past. You only have to release the grip it has on your present. There's a story of two monks, one young, one old, walking through the forest. They reached a river where a woman was stranded, unable to cross. The elder monk picked her up and carried her to the other side. They walked in silence for hours. Eventually, the younger monk burst out, "We're not supposed to touch women. Why did you carry her?" The elder monk replied, "I set her down at the river. Why are you still carrying her?" Letting go means knowing where the moment ends. You are allowed to move on even if the world expects you to stay angry, stay bitter, stay broken. You are not betraying anyone by choosing peace. You are simply honoring the truth that your soul was never meant to carry this forever. Some burdens were only meant to be carried long enough to remind you how strong you've become. So here you are, still breathing, still present, still able to choose. And the choice remains: hold on or let go. Repeat the story or rewrite it with silence. Stay locked in the old self or allow that self to dissolve so something truer can emerge. It will not be easy, it will not be instant, but it will be worth it. Because each time you let go, you come home. To now, to breath, to truth, to the unshakable stillness that has waited patiently beneath every storm. To understand everything is to forgive everything. The Buddha. Forgiveness is one of the hardest forms of letting go, because it often feels unfair, because it asks us to release what was never resolved, because it requires us to do the work that the other person never did. But Zen does not ask, "Was it fair?" Zen asks, "Does holding on to this still bring you peace?" If the answer is no, then forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. You forgive not because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve to stop suffering. There's a Zen tale of a woman who visited her teacher, her face tight with anger. "They never apologized," she said. "They hurt me, and they're living their life as if nothing happened." The master poured her a cup of tea, then kept pouring until it spilled over. She gasped. "Master, it's overflowing." He calmly replied, "So is your heart. The past overflows into the present when we refuse to empty the cup. Forgiveness is how we pour out the old pain gently, patiently, without force. Not to forget, not to excuse, but to make space for joy again, to reclaim your heart, to reclaim yourself. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. We often believe forgiveness requires reconciliation. It doesn't. You can forgive and still walk away. You can forgive and still protect your peace. You can forgive in silence, in solitude, in soft breath, without ever speaking to them again. Because forgiveness is not for them to hear. It is for you to feel, to wake up lighter, to no longer replay the same scene, to finally rest without the weight of resentment curling in your chest. This is the quiet revolution of the soul. No applause, no drama. Just freedom. The deepest forgiveness is invisible, but it changes everything. You may wonder, but how do I let go of something that hurt me so deeply? The answer is simple, but not easy. You stop feeding it. Every time you retell the story to yourself, you water the seed. Every time you dwell on what should have been said, you anchor it deeper. Every time you revisit the pain without compassion, you carry it further. Letting go begins the moment you decide to stop nourishing the wound, to stop holding your breath in that moment of betrayal, to stop looping through the injustice, to stop letting a single chapter define your whole book. You are not that page. You are the one turning it. Your past does not need to be healed to be released. It only needs to be seen with kindness. There's a teaching in Zen that says pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, but compassion is eternal. What if you turned that pain into compassion? What if instead of asking, "Why me?" you asked, "What is this teaching me?" What if you soften not because they earned it, but because you are no longer willing to harden your heart? Hardness protects, but it also isolates. And what you truly long for is not protection, it is connection, not to others, but to yourself, to your breath, to your presence, to your peace. Letting go is how you return. The mind holds grudges, but the heart only knows how to open or close. Choose to open. There was once a monk who was insulted daily by a bitter villager. One day the monk bowed and said, "Thank you for your gift, but I do not accept it." The villager fumed. "You must accept it." The monk smiled. "If I do not accept your gift, to whom does it belong?" Letting go means no longer picking up what is not yours to carry. Their hatred not yours, their ignorance not yours, their choices not yours. What's yours is how you respond. What's yours is how long you hold on. What's yours is your freedom and your ability to choose it again and again. Even if they never change, even if they never say sorry, you still can. They don't have to make it right. You only have to stop making it yours. Letting go also means letting go of how healing should look. Sometimes it's not a moment of clarity. Sometimes it's a slow unraveling, a gradual softening of the voice in your head, a slightly deeper breath in the middle of the night, a thought that used to burn but now passes like smoke. That too is healing. You don't have to wake up one day feeling fixed. You only have to notice, I am suffering less today than yesterday. And even if that suffering returns, you now know how to greet it. Not with shame, not with panic, but with the steady wisdom of release. Healing isn't about returning to who you were. It's about meeting who you are becoming with open arms. So now ask yourself, what are you ready to set down? What version of yourself is asking to be freed? What story have you outgrown? What apology have you waited too long to give yourself? Say it now, not to them, to you. Say it in breath. Say it in silence. Say it in the way you exhale and mean it this time. I forgive you. I release you. I'm ready. Letting go doesn't happen in a shout. It happens in this: a pause, a breath, a decision. And then you are free. When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Lao Tzu, we are conditioned to seek more success, more clarity, more love, more meaning. But what if you don't need more? What if what's missing is not something you must find, but something you must release? The striving, the comparison, the false belief that fulfillment lies somewhere just out of reach. Zen does not promise more. Zen shows you you already have enough when you no longer demand more, because the search itself often becomes the very thing that blinds us to peace. The mind that seeks endlessly is the mind that cannot rest. There's a Zen story of a man who stood in front of a mirror searching for his reflection. He tilted his head, adjusted the light, wiped the glass, yet still he could not see clearly. A monk passed by and asked, "Why are you struggling?" "I can't see myself," the man replied. The monk said, "Because you're looking too hard. Step back, be still, you will see." That is the truth of inner peace. You don't find it by chasing. You find it by becoming still enough for it to find you. Because what you are looking for is not separate from you. It's only hidden beneath the layers of effort. Letting go means stepping back, becoming quiet, creating space for clarity to arise not from the outside but from within. What you seek is not beyond the horizon, it's beneath your resistance. Stillness is a mirror, but only when the water is calm can it reflect the truth. The ripples of the mind, judgment, anxiety, attachment, distort what is already whole. That's why Zen practice often begins not with action but with awareness, with sitting, with watching the waves until they settle. And then there you are. You were always there, but you couldn't see clearly until you stopped stirring the water. Letting go is how you clear the surface, not to become whole, but to remember that you already are. The truth is not something to acquire, it is something to remember. You are not lacking peace. You are simply holding too much to feel it. Letting go means making room. Room for your breath. Room for your intuition. Room for life to arrive in its own timing, not yours. Because the tighter your grip, the less you can hold. And ironically, it's only when your hands are empty that the sacred has space to enter. So unclench, not just your fists, but your expectations, your need for answers, your obsession with controlling how things unfold. There's a deeper wisdom guiding things, one that only becomes visible when you stop blocking the view. The moment you let go of how it should be, you begin to see what is. A student asked the master, "How do I reach enlightenment?" The master replied, "Drop all your burdens." The student asked, "What if I can't drop them all at once?" The master smiled. "Then drop one, the rest will follow." That's all you need to do today. Drop one. One belief, one judgment, one piece of unnecessary striving. Don't wait to be perfect. Don't wait for the ideal moment. Begin with a whisper, "I don't need this anymore," and breathe. That breath unburdened is the beginning of real peace. The smallest surrender is still a doorway to freedom. Many of us are taught to define our lives by what we've accumulated. But what if you began defining your peace by what you've released? You let go of needing to be understood by everyone. You let go of comparing your journey to another's. You let go of the belief that says joy must be earned. And in that letting go, you don't become less, you become light. You become whole, not because you've added more, but because you've stopped covering up what was always inside you. Letting go is the spiritual art of subtraction. Removing what you are not so what you are can finally be seen. The more you release, the more you reveal. There's a moment in every practice where the seeker must stop seeking, not because there's nothing left to learn, but because the obsession with the next answer has become the next distraction. You can keep asking, keep reading, keep fixing, or you can pause and finally feel what's here, not what you hope will come, not what you fear might happen, but this breath, this stillness, this body, this moment. That's where Zen lives, not in achievement, not in arrival, but in this simple permission to stop, to be, to breathe, to let go. And in that moment, without needing anything else, you will feel it. You are home. The bird does not cling to the sky, nor the sky to the bird, yet both exist in perfect freedom. Zen saying, you don't have to own something to love it. You don't have to keep something to appreciate it. You don't have to grip something tightly for it to be real. Zen teaches the paradox. The lighter you hold something, the more fully you experience it. Because love, peace, and freedom are not found through possession, but through presence. And presence requires space. Space that can only exist when we stop clinging. Nothing you truly love will stay by force, but everything real flows back through openness. There's a Zen parable of a man who picked up a delicate butterfly in his hands. In fear of it flying away, he cupped his palms too tightly. When he opened them, the butterfly had been crushed. The master who witnessed it said softly, "Some things live only in open hands." How often have we crushed what we loved in the attempt to keep it? How often have we ruined our peace trying to protect it? Letting go is not letting something slip through your fingers. It's choosing to let it rest in your palm without force. To trust. If it is meant to stay, it will. If it is meant to leave, it was never yours to imprison. When you no longer fear losing, you finally begin to live. Attachment is rooted in fear. Fear that without this thing, this person, this outcome, you will not be whole. But Zen gently reminds you you were whole before it arrived, and you will still be whole if it leaves. The illusion is not that you need more. The illusion is that you were ever missing anything to begin with. When you let go of attachment, you return to what is unshakable within you. That place where peace is not something added, it is your original nature. Before fear, before identity, before all the striving, there you are already enough. Letting go is not loss. It is recognition. I already have what I thought I lacked. A student once told his master, "I've given up everything, my wealth, my name, my family. What more must I release?" The master looked at him kindly and said, "Now let go of the one who gave them up." This is the most subtle trap, the spiritual ego. The identity that clings to the idea of having let go. Even detachment, when owned by the ego, becomes another form of attachment. So what's the solution? To let go even of letting go. To rest in such quiet humility that there is nothing left to prove. Only being. True freedom arrives when you're no longer trying to be the one who is free. In the practice of Zen, silence is revered not as emptiness, but as fullness without noise. To sit in silence is not to be passive. It is to trust that truth can arise without force, that clarity can dawn without chasing, that life can unfold beautifully when you stop trying to choreograph every step. There's a saying in Zen temples, the flower doesn't bloom faster because you shout at it. Likewise, your life will not bloom faster through panic, pressure, or control. Letting go is how you return to rhythm, not the world's rhythm, but your own. The one that flows from stillness, the one that honors breath, the one that listens deeply. And when you return to that rhythm, you find something unexpected. You don't need to hurry. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to fix everything today. You are allowed to be soft. You are allowed to go slow. You are allowed to not know. Letting go is the art of not rushing your own unfolding. There's a story of a Zen master who dropped a valuable bowl. When it shattered, his student rushed to him distressed. "Master, it's ruined." The teacher smiled and said, "Yes, now it is free to become something new." That is the secret we miss while clinging to our definitions. A loss is often the first moment of transformation. A crack is not the end, it is where new light enters. The thing that fell apart may have needed to. The version of you that broke may have outlived its purpose. Letting go is not giving up. It is bowing to life's deeper wisdom that sometimes what shatters sets you free. When you stop mourning the old shape, you begin to welcome the new space. So pause now. Feel your breath, not as a technique, not as a practice, just as a miracle. This moment, this aliveness, this breath you didn't earn, and yet were gifted again. That is what Zen points to. Not doctrines, not philosophies, but the breath, the now, the letting go of needing anything else. What if nothing is wrong? What if everything you're holding is optional? What if this breath felt fully is already enough? Try it. Exhale. Feel the soft opening in your chest and allow this truth to settle. You don't have to hold so tightly anymore. Let go. Let be. Be here. To live fully is to let go fully. Zen saying, letting go is not a one-time event. It is a continuous practice, a daily dance between holding and releasing. Some days you'll feel light, able to surrender effortlessly. Other days the grip tightens again, the old stories whisper louder. This is not failure. It is part of the path. Zen teaches patience with ourselves and with the process. Because true freedom is not about perfection. It is about return. Returning again and again to this moment. Returning to breath. Returning to presence. Returning to the simple act of choosing peace over and over. Each moment of release is a seed. There was a Zen master who told his students, practice like a river bend, flow, fall, rise. Never resist the course, but always return to the source. Life will push you. Life will pull you. Sometimes it will flood you with pain. Sometimes it will trickle with joy. But like the river, you are not broken by the bends. You are defined by your ability to keep flowing, returning to the source again and again. Letting go is how you keep flowing. If you stumble, you can return. If you fall, you can rise. If you lose your way, you can come home. Many of us carry a deep exhaustion, a weariness from trying to be more, do more, fix more. Zen invites you to rest, not just physically, but spiritually. To stop the constant doing, to stop the endless striving, to stop trying to squeeze peace out of chaos. Instead, sit, breathe, be. In the stillness, you discover you've been whole all along. Peace is not found in achievement. It is found in acceptance. There is a story of a monk who spent years searching for enlightenment in distant mountains. One day, a teacher asked him, "Where do you come from?" The monk answered, "From here." The teacher smiled. "Then why do you look so far away?" Sometimes we seek what we already have. The struggle to find peace keeps us from being peace. Letting go is turning the gaze inward, not chasing outward. It is realizing the garden you've searched for is already blooming within. The greatest journey is the one that brings you back to yourself. What does it mean to let go in practice? It means saying no to what drains you. It means creating boundaries, gentle but firm. It means choosing kindness to yourself over approval from others. It means accepting imperfection in yourself and others. It means quieting the mind's relentless shoulds and musts. It means being okay with uncertainty. It means trusting the flow even when it's unclear. This is the courage Zen calls for, not a grand heroic act, but the humble bravery of presence. Letting go is a daily act of bravery. You are not alone on this path. Every breath is shared. Every struggle is understood. Every release is witnessed by the universe itself. You are part of a vast dance of surrender and awakening. So when the grip tightens, remember, this too shall pass. The breath returns, the heart softens, and you begin again. So now breathe deeply. Feel the weight you're ready to release. Allow your hands to open and say quietly to yourself, I let go. I am free. I am here. When you realize how perfect everything is, you will tilt your head back and laugh at the sky. Buddha. There is a freedom that comes only when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Life, with all its twists and turns, flows whether you resist or surrender. The resistance creates suffering. The surrender creates peace. Zen invites you to practice surrender not as giving up, but as giving in to the truth that life is ever-changing. You are not separate from this flow. You are part of it. The more you accept, the less you resist. The less you resist, the lighter you become. And the lighter you become, the more joy you feel, regardless of circumstance. Joy is not outside. It is the song of a surrendered heart. There was a monk who walked the village market daily, smiling at everyone. One day, a young man asked him, how can you smile when the world is so full of suffering? The monk replied, because I do not carry the world on my back. Suffering weighs only as much as you allow. Letting go is the gift you give yourself to lighten your burden. To smile not because life is perfect, but because your heart is free. The true revolution is not in changing the world, but in changing how you carry it. Sometimes the hardest thing to let go is the need for control over your own story. You want to be the hero. You want to understand why things happened. You want to make sense. But life's meaning is often found not in answers, but in mystery. Zen teaches you to live with questions, to rest in the unknown, to be okay with not knowing. Because peace doesn't require understanding. It requires acceptance. And acceptance begins when you stop fighting reality. Letting go is the courage to live with unanswered questions. There is a story of a traveler who asked a sage, "What is the meaning of life?" The sage smiled and replied, "The meaning is the journey itself." When you let go of needing a final answer, the journey unfolds beautifully. Every step becomes sacred, every moment a teacher, every breath a blessing. Letting go is not a loss of direction. It is finding a new way to walk. Your mind may resist. It will pull you back to familiar fears, old wounds, and tired stories. But you are stronger than the pull. You are the witness. You are the breath. You are the spaciousness between thoughts. Every time you return to this space, you reclaim your freedom. Every time you choose presence over reaction, you practice letting go. The heart that lets go is the heart that grows. So today, give yourself permission to stop controlling, to stop fixing, to stop proving, to stop resisting, and simply be. Be here. Be present. Be still. And in that stillness, find your peace. When you let go of what you are, you become what you might be. Lao Tzu. The path of letting go is not smooth. It is a river with rapids and calm pools. There will be moments of clarity where peace flows effortlessly, and moments of struggle where old fears resurface and the grip tightens again. Zen teaches patience with this ebb and flow, because growth is not linear. You do not become free all at once. Freedom comes in layers, a little more here, a little deeper there, and each surrender prepares you for the next. Letting go is a practice, not a destination. When you notice the urge to cling, pause. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? What am I holding so tightly? And what would happen if I simply released it? Sometimes the answer is surprising. you may discover the thing you feared losing was never truly yours, or that the weight of holding it is greater than the loss. This awareness is the first step toward freedom. You don't have to wait for courage. Courage grows in the act of surrender. There was a Zen master who said, letting go is like dropping a heavy load.
You don't have to carry it any longer.
You don't have to keep pretending it's not heavy. When you release it, your steps become lighter, your breath easier. Try it now. Let go of the heaviest thing on your mind. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the shift. The space you create when you let go is the space where life can enter. Often we mistake control for safety. We cling to what is familiar because it feels secure. But security built on grasping is fragile. Zen invites you to find safety in being, not in having. To find peace, not in possession, but in presence. The deeper you practice this, the more you realize you are already safe, you are already whole, you are already enough. Letting go is the way back to yourself. In the quiet moments between breaths, you meet the truth. Not the story of who you think you are, but the essence that never left. The stillness beneath the storm, the light beyond the shadow. That is your home, and letting go is the path that leads you there. The only thing you ever really own is the present moment. Zen proverb. Every moment you hold on to the past, you miss the gift of now. Every moment you cling to fears of the future, you lose the power of today. Zen calls you back again and again to this moment. Here, now, present. It's not easy to release the familiar chains of regret, fear, and attachment. But the truth is, you don't have to carry them anymore. You have the choice right now to set them down. There was a monk who taught that life is like a river. You cannot step into the same river twice because it is always flowing. Holding on to past pain is like trying to step into a river that's already moved on. You can only find peace by letting go and stepping forward. Letting go is not forgetting, but learning to flow with change. Imagine a tree releasing its leaves in autumn. It does not cling to them. It lets them fall freely. And in doing so, it prepares itself for new growth. You too can learn from this wisdom. Release what no longer serves you. Open your hands, breathe deeply, and welcome the new. Letting go is the sacred act of making space. So now breathe. Feel the present moment. Allow yourself to be here fully. This is the only moment you truly own. This is the moment of freedom. Surrender is the true path to power. Zen wisdom. In a world obsessed with control and achievement, surrender feels like weakness. But surrender is the ultimate strength. It is the strength to say, I do not need to force the river. I will flow with it instead. There was once a master who told his student, to hold on is to suffer. To let go is to be free. The student asked, but what if I lose everything? The master smiled. When you lose everything, you find yourself. You are not your possessions, your status, or your story. You are the awareness behind it all, and awareness cannot be taken lost or broken. Every time you release an attachment, you reclaim your true self. It is okay to feel fear when letting go. Fear is a visitor, not a jailer. Invite it in, acknowledge it, and then gently open the door. Letting go is not about losing. It is about finding the freedom to be fully alive. So now take a breath, let go of what weighs you down, and step into the lightness of being. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Ram Dass. Silence is not emptiness, silence is fullness. Silence is the space where healing begins. Letting go invites you into silence, not the silence of loneliness, but the silence of presence. There was a Zen master who sat by a river watching the water flow endlessly. A student asked, how can you be so calm watching this river always moving? The master replied, because I know the river is never the same, yet always the same. Change is constant. Clinging to what was is the source of suffering. Letting go is the embrace of flow. To let go is to trust life's unfolding. The mind wants to hold on to certainty, The heart knows peace lies in uncertainty. To practice letting go is to honor the heart, to accept that not knowing is part of the journey. In this acceptance, fear dissolves. In this acceptance, joy arises. Take a deep breath. Feel the flow of life through you. Let go of resistance and open to what is. In the practice of letting go, we uncover the fullness of being. Zen teaching. Letting go is more than a single act. It is the ongoing rhythm of life. Like the waves that rise and fall on the ocean shore, our attachments and fears come and go, beckoning us to hold tight or release. The deeper wisdom of Zen teaches us that freedom arises not when we resist the tides, but when we learn to flow with them. The human mind often mistakes control for safety. We believe that if we grasp tightly enough, whether to a thought, a person, or an outcome, we can secure happiness or stave off pain. Yet Zen whispers a different truth. It is in the gentle loosening of the grip that we discover our true strength. There once was a student who asked the master, "How do I find peace amidst the chaos of the world?" The master replied by releasing the chaos within. This paradox lies at the heart of Zen practice. We seek to change the external world, but the real transformation happens inside when we stop clinging to stories, identities, and fears. The art of letting go is an inward journey. It is a patient unfolding where each breath offers a choice to hold on or to release. Imagine carrying a heavy burden on your back. Every step is a struggle, every moment weighed down by its presence. Now imagine setting that burden down, feeling the freedom of movement, the lightness of being. This is the essence of letting go, choosing freedom over fear, presence over resistance. But the path is not always smooth. Letting go can feel like loss, like surrender, like stepping into the unknown. It demands courage to face discomfort, to feel vulnerability, and to relinquish illusions of control. Yet each release is a gift, an invitation to deeper peace and clarity. Zen stories often use simple yet profound images to illuminate this truth. One such tale tells of a traveler who reached a raging river. To cross, he built a raft, floated safely across, and then carried the raft on his back long after reaching the shore. When asked why he burdened himself with the raft, he replied, "It's all I know." The master smiled and said, "The raft served its purpose. Now it's time to let it go." How often do we carry our rafts, the fears, grudges, and regrets far beyond their usefulness? Letting go is learning to trust that the current will carry us safely, even without the familiar support. In practice, letting go unfolds in many forms, releasing judgment, forgiving ourselves and others, surrendering expectations, and embracing impermanence. Forgiveness in particular stands as a powerful doorway to freedom. It does not erase the past, but softens its grip, allowing healing to emerge. When we forgive, we stop feeding the wounds that chain us and begin to breathe anew. Another essential element is presence, anchoring ourselves in the here and now. The past is unchangeable, the future uncertain. Peace arises when we fully inhabit the present moment, receiving life as it unfolds without resistance. This is not passivity, but profound engagement, a vivid awareness that meets joy and sorrow alike with equanimity. Zen meditation practices cultivate this presence through mindfulness of breath, body, and mind. Each inhale invites release. Each exhale invites acceptance. In sitting still, we discover the spaciousness beyond thoughts, a refuge where true self is found. Yet letting go is not a solitary experience. It happens within the tapestry of relationships and community. We learn to release control over others, to love without clinging, to communicate without attachment to outcomes. These acts nurture compassion, the heart of Zen wisdom. There is no final destination in letting go, only a continuous unfolding. Each day offers new opportunities to choose freedom over fear, to open hands rather than close fists, to dance lightly with the mystery of existence. To embody letting go is to live with humility, recognizing our impermanence and interconnectedness. It is to walk gently on the earth with kindness to ourselves and others, embracing life's flow with gratitude. In moments when resistance arises, when old habits pull us back, we return again to breath. We remember that peace is not something to grasp, but something to uncover, a jewel hidden beneath the layers of clinging. So now take a deep breath. Feel the ground beneath you. Sense the aliveness of this moment. Allow yourself to soften, to release whatever weighs on your heart. Trust in the process of letting go, knowing it leads you back to your true nature, free, whole, and at peace. This is the path of Zen. This is the dance of surrender and awakening. This is your invitation to let go and to be truly free. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. Buddha, to truly let go is to live deeply in the present. The mind often escapes into memories or future anxieties, dragging us away from the only moment we truly possess. Zen teaches us that the present moment is a gift, a space where peace, joy, and liberation arise naturally when we stop resisting and start accepting. Letting go does not mean neglecting responsibility or ignoring life's challenges. It means facing them with a calm mind and an open heart, free from the burdens of attachment and expectation. It means acting with clarity rather than reaction, responding from presence instead of fear. There was a time when a young student sought enlightenment from a Zen master. Frustrated by slow progress, he demanded a quick answer. The master handed him a bowl of water and said, "Empty your mind as you empty this bowl." The student tried to pour out the water but found it difficult to empty the bowl completely. The master smiled and said, "You cannot pour out what is already full. Make space first." This parable reflects the essence of letting go. We cannot grasp freedom while our minds are full of clinging. We must create space by releasing our attachments, judgments, and fears. In the journey of letting go, self-compassion is essential. We may stumble, relapse into old patterns, or feel overwhelmed by uncertainty. Rather than condemning ourselves, Zen invites us to meet these moments with kindness. Every attempt to release, no matter how small, is progress. The path is gentle, patient, and forgiving. Letting go also nurtures humility. We recognize the limits of our control and the vastness of life's mystery. This humility opens the heart to acceptance, not resignation, but a wise openness to whatever arises. As you read these words, consider what you are ready to release. Is it a resentment you carry? A limiting belief, the need for approval, a fear of the unknown? Begin by acknowledging it without judgment. Then breathe into the space around it. Imagine softening your grip. Allow yourself to feel the possibility of freedom. Zen stories remind us that freedom is always available, not in some distant future, but here and now. The river does not wait to be calm before flowing. It flows, and calmness arises within its movement. So too with you. You do not have to be free to let go. You let go to become free. In this unfolding, we find that letting go is not about losing ourselves, but about discovering who we truly are beyond the layers of fear, identity, and story. It is a return to the innate peace and joy that were always present beneath the surface. May this practice guide you gently back to yourself, moment by moment, breath by breath. May you find the courage to release what no longer serves you and the grace to embrace the fullness of life as it is. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. The Buddha, there is a timeless power in the present moment, a power that awakens when we stop trying to control what has been or what might be. Zen calls us to release the heavy chains of past regrets and future anxieties, inviting us instead into the vibrant clarity of now. Letting go is not a single act of courage, but a continuous unfolding. It is the gentle process of learning to release, again and again, the thoughts and emotions that keep us trapped in illusion. Imagine walking through a dense forest carrying a backpack filled with stones, each stone a worry, a resentment, or a fear. With each step, the weight grows heavier until your pace slows, your breath shortens. The only way forward is to open the pack and lay the stones down one by one. This metaphor captures the essence of letting go. We may not be able to release everything at once, but even setting down one burden lightens the journey. In Zen, presence arises when the mind stops chasing. The mind is like a wild monkey, restless and anxious. Meditation and mindful breathing are tools that help tame the monkey, allowing the mind to settle into calmness. When the mind is calm, clarity emerges. You begin to see yourself not as the stories you tell, but as the awareness behind those stories. You discover a deep well of peace that is untouched by circumstance. Letting go is not about forgetting or suppressing pain. It is about acknowledging it fully and then releasing its hold over you. It is about facing the truth of impermanence, that all things change, all feelings pass. There was once a monk who carried a heavy stone in his pocket for years. One day he realized the weight he felt was not the stone itself, but the memory of carrying it. He removed the stone and felt immediate relief. Your burdens may feel permanent, but many are held only by the grip of memory and habit. Letting go is learning to relax that grip. It is a practice in trust, the trust that even without control you will be safe, that life with all its unpredictability is enough. This trust does not come easily. It often arrives after many lessons, after the pain of resistance becomes too great. But when it comes, it transforms everything. You move through life with lighter steps and a freer heart. You begin to embrace uncertainty with curiosity instead of fear. You stop identifying with suffering and start identifying with your own resilience. The invitation of Zen is to begin this process right now, not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect, but here, in this breath, in this moment. Breathe deeply. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Notice the tension you can release. Allow your hands to open. Let go. And in that simple act, discover freedom. When the mind is quiet, the heart speaks clearly. Zen saying, the journey of letting go begins with silence. Not the absence of sound, but the stillness beyond noise. In that stillness, we find the clarity to see what binds us and the courage to release it. Often we confuse activity with progress. We fill our days with tasks, thoughts, worries, hoping to outrun discomfort. Yet Zen teaches the opposite. Real growth comes not from doing more, but from being present and open. Imagine a pond on a windless day. Its surface is smooth and clear, reflecting the sky and trees with perfect clarity. When the wind blows, the surface ripples, distorting the reflection. Only when the wind settles does the pond reveal its true nature. Your mind is like this pond. When restless, it obscures your true self. When still, you see clearly your own reflection. Letting go is the practice of calming the wind. It is the willingness to sit with discomfort without adding to it, to watch thoughts come and go without clinging, to meet emotions without resistance. This is the heart of Zen practice. But it is not easy. Old habits, fears, and identities pull us back into grasping. The mind cries out, hold on, control, protect. And yet in surrender lies power. When you release control, you reclaim your energy. When you stop fighting, you align with the flow. There was once a master who taught that the strongest tree is not the one that resists the storm, but the one that bends with the wind. Letting go is bending gracefully, not breaking, but flowing. It is trust in the unseen currents of life. It is the knowledge that you do not have to carry everything alone. When you begin to release, you notice a lightness, a softening of the heart and mind. You begin to breathe deeper, live freer, love more openly. Letting go is not losing yourself. It is finding your true self beneath the weight. The Zen path is not about perfection, but presence. It is not about never falling, but rising again and again, each time lighter, wiser, freer. So start now. Sit quietly. Breathe deeply. Feel what wants to be released, and gently, lovingly let it go. Your freedom awaits. When the heart is free, the whole world becomes a place of peace. Zen wisdom. Letting go is not a destination. It is a way of life. It is the gentle rhythm of surrender and awakening of loss, and gain of death and rebirth within each moment. We are often taught to resist change, to cling to stability and certainty. Yet Zen invites us to embrace impermanence as the very essence of existence. The cherry blossom does not struggle to stay on the branch. It blooms, dances in the wind, and falls gracefully, knowing this cycle is its nature. We too are like the cherry blossom. Our beauty lies not in permanence, but in the willingness to bloom fully, even as we prepare to let go. There was a monk who carried sorrow as a heavy stone. One day, a teacher asked him, "Why do you carry this burden?" He replied, "Because it is mine." The teacher said, "No sorrow is like a cloud passing through the sky. It belongs to the sky, not to you. Sorrow visits, but it does not have to stay." Letting go means recognizing what is passing through and what is you. The mind clings because it fears emptiness, but true emptiness is fullness. It is space for love, peace, and joy to arise. When you let go of grasping, you open to receiving. This paradox is the heart of Zen. You do not have to earn your freedom. It is your birthright. Letting go is the way to reclaim it. When you release your attachments, you create room for miracles, room for kindness, room for compassion, room for unexpected joy, room for grace. Even the darkest night gives way to dawn. So too, your struggles will pass. Hold on to this truth. Breathe deeply now. Feel the lightness of your heart. Know that letting go is not loss. It is liberation. It is the way home. Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. Pema Chodron. The path of letting go is not about escaping life's challenges, but about embracing them with open arms and an open heart. Each difficulty, each pain, each heartbreak holds a lesson, if only we are willing to see it. Zen invites us to look deeply into our suffering, not to avoid or deny it, but to understand it. There was a story of a young monk who asked the master, "Why do I suffer so much?" The master replied, "Because you are holding on." The monk asked, "To what should I let go?" The master said, "To everything that is not you." Our suffering often stems from clinging to identities, stories, and fears that do not belong to our true selves. Letting go is the process of peeling back those layers, revealing the radiant peace beneath. Letting go requires courage, the courage to face discomfort, to meet fear, and to trust in the unknown. It is not weakness, but the greatest strength. To surrender does not mean to give up. It means to accept. And in acceptance lies freedom. And when you let go of resistance, the river of life flows effortlessly. You are no longer swimming upstream. You move with grace, fluid and free. Zen teaches that the self is like a river, ever-changing, never fixed. To cling to a fixed identity is to block the flow, but to let go is to become like water, adaptable, powerful, and at peace. So practice letting go. Start small. Release a thought that does not serve you. Let go of a grievance held tight for too long. Forgive yourself for the past. And watch how space opens within. Space for joy. Space for love. Space for peace. Letting go is the sacred path of return to yourself, to the present, to life's flow. Take a breath. Feel the lightness that comes with release. Know that you are on the path. You are not alone. And with every letting go, you move closer to freedom. Suffering is not holding you, it is the holding on. Zen proverb. Each day offers a fresh invitation to let go of fears, expectations, judgments, and the stories that no longer serve us. The practice of release is not about denying reality, but about embracing it with softness and clarity. Imagine carrying a heavy stone. Every step is a laborious effort, your shoulders aching under the weight. Now envision setting the stone down and feeling the freedom to walk unburdened. This simple act reflects the essence of letting go. Zen stories abound with lessons on the art of release. One tale tells of a monk who held a sacred vase. The vase slipped and shattered, and rather than lamenting, the monk saw beauty in the brokenness, a new beginning. This teaches us that what breaks us can also free us. Letting go is often misunderstood as loss, but it is actually gain of peace, of clarity, and of a deeper connection with the present. It asks for courage, for patience, and for compassion, especially towards ourselves. The mind will resist pulling us back into old habits of grasping and clinging, yet each conscious breath that welcomes release strengthens our freedom. To let go is to trust life's impermanence and to find joy in the flow. It is to recognize that holding tightly to pain only prolongs suffering. There is freedom in surrender, in space, in the silent acceptance that life is ever-changing. As the bamboo bends with the wind, yet stands firm, so can we learn to adapt without breaking. So now breathe deeply, let the tension melt. Open your heart to possibility, and take the step toward letting go. You are not alone on this path, and with each release you move closer to the peace that has always been within you. When you let go of the need to control, you find the freedom to flow. Zen wisdom. Every struggle to control the uncontrollable drains your energy and dims your light. The mind's craving for certainty is natural but often futile. Zen teaches us that true power lies in surrender, not surrender as defeat, but as a profound acceptance of what is. There was a master who told his student, "Imagine holding water in your hands. If you squeeze tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you cup your hands gently, the water remains." This simple metaphor reveals the art of letting go. Release the tight grip of control, and life stays with you effortlessly. Holding on too tightly breeds fear and suffering. Letting go opens the door to peace and joy. It creates space for new possibilities to emerge, possibilities that control could never have invited. Letting go is also a radical act of trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the unfolding of life. Trust in the unknown. We fear what we cannot predict, but Zen teaches that life's true beauty is in its mystery, its constant becoming. When you stop fighting the flow, you find yourself moving with a grace and ease that was always possible. This is not passive resignation. It is active surrender. It is choosing peace over panic, clarity over chaos, presence over distraction. Practice this moment. Breathe deeply. Feel your hands unclench. Feel your heart soften. And say quietly, "I release control. I welcome freedom." With every breath, you step closer to the liberation that has always awaited you. Surrender is not giving up. It is the wisdom of knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Zen teaching. In the restless dance of life, we often find ourselves gripping tightly, clutching at moments, relationships, identities, and beliefs. We fear loss, abandonment, and uncertainty. Yet Zen gently reminds us that the very act of clinging is the root of suffering, and true peace blossoms in the soil of release. Letting go is not a single event. It is an ongoing journey, an unfolding practice that asks for courage, patience, and compassion. It is the daily choice to relax the fists that have held too long, to soften the heart that has hardened under the weight of fear, and to open the hands that have been closed against the unknown. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast river. Behind you lies the known shore, familiar, safe, yet confining. Before you, the river flows endlessly, mysterious and ever-changing. You can cling to the shore, or you can step into the water and flow with its current. Zen invites you to trust the river, to trust life itself, and to embrace the freedom that comes with surrender. There once was a monk who was given a precious vase. He carried it everywhere, fearing it might break. One day as he walked, he stumbled, and the vase shattered on the ground. Heartbroken, he wept. But then he noticed the fragments reflecting the sunlight, shards of beauty he had never seen before. The vase's brokenness revealed a new form of wholeness. This story teaches us that loss can become transformation, and that breaking open is the doorway to awakening. Letting go asks us to relinquish control not as an act of weakness, but as a profound demonstration of strength. Control is an illusion that binds us in chains of expectation and resistance. When we surrender control, we awaken to the vastness of possibility and the mystery of life's unfolding. This surrender does not mean passivity. It means living fully in the present moment, responding with clarity and compassion, rather than reacting out of fear.